I would like to call to order the Flint Board of Education special meeting. Time is 5:32 p.m. Board members, as I call your name, please reply present for the record. Vice President McNeil.
Present.
Treasurer McIntyre.
Present.
Assistant Secretary Del Maroney.
Present.
Trustee Gilbert.
Present.
Trustee McIntosh is absent, and myself, President Green, present. At this time, the board will hear any comments from the public. We ask that you state your name and address and a reason for presenting to the board. You limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matters that within the jurisdiction of the board and not address individuals by name. Do we have anybody? Do we have anybody else?
I haven't seen anyone, but Steven said no.
So did I go right here, right?
You can start with it. You can start and see if anyone wants to address the board.
Is there anybody who wants to address the board? Okay, no. So I'll go here, right?
And then just say,
Okay, thank you. The board received 4 applications for the vacancy created by Adrian Walker. I would like to share the process the board will follow to conduct the candidate interviews. There will be 2 rounds. Round 1, all 4 candidates will be asked the same questions. Each board member will score each candidate on how well they answer the question by using a rating score from 1 to 10, 1 being least and 10 being excellent. Before the conclusion, the candidate will be allowed to make 1 final statement. After all candidates have been interviewed, board members will ask to submit the total to Mrs. Elston. The top 2 candidates will be the highest scores of round 1. They will continue on to round 2. In round 2, the top 2 candidates will be asked an additional 6 questions being rated as previously stated. At the conclusion of second round of the interviews, board members will total their scores and give them to Ms. Elston. The scores from round 1 and round 2 will be added together, and the candidate with the overall highest total for both rounds will be recommended to fill the vacant seat. Do any board members have any questions?
just announce that Karen's question will be admitted.
Trustee McIntosh questions will be admitted because she's not here today. So cross them off, guys. Okay? Oh. Ms. Elston, please get our get our candidate, please.
Yep. Pete's gonna assist me.
Oh,
so I
okay,
don't have
Pete.
to do so much walking.
Thank you.
Yep, and then this is what you're gonna say every time.
Every time.
Yep, and this is the order in which they're gonna be interviewed. So when they come in, this is what you're gonna see.
All righty. Okay.
I'll take a while.
I got one right here. I'm glad you think. It made me thought I couldn't see well, which I can't, but still.
It should. What? Take on the street and get it. I think you should.
What?
It's working. Working on my table.
Yes, it is. So it's this coming up. It's a process.
Madam President.
And- Yes, sir.
So both rounds, mark out this Carol.
Yes, please. Oh, and I've been there. That's why I ain't stay in it. It's too much.
I know.
I don't want nothing to do with it. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, Ms. Simpkins, correct?
I'm doing just fine. Yes, it is, Ms.
Okay.
Simpkins.
Were you able to read the instructions for how the
Yes.
interview will be conducted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any questions before we begin?
Uh, no, not really.
Okay. I will be asking you the first two questions, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Would you please describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint Board of Education or any interacting with students?
Anything that would affect me, like I wouldn't be able to? work with
Yes.
it?
Yep.
I work with students, have youth groups, and I worked within the school system quite a bit. And I've also did some teaching, and I've never had any problems or incidences or anything of that nature that would disqualify me
Okay.
from being able to work with youth
Okay.
or students or board members.
That's important. Thank you.
Maybe, do I need to scoot up? Okay. Sure.
Your next question is, in the challenging times that we are facing this year, why have you decided to be part of the decision-making process?
Well, because I have a strong interest in the school board and in the quality of education that the students are receiving. And as a former, well, I'm still a parent, but as a mother of kids who have matriculated through the Flint school system, I've had an opportunity to see how the board works. I'd like to be effective in helping them to solve some of the problems that we are currently having, not just fiscal problems, but also problems with students and things of that nature as well. The different curriculums and what have you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. McNeil?
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Hi, good afternoon.
Nice to see you here. I see that he's working on your speakers because your voice is kind of low, so you might need to kind of speak up a little bit.
Oh, okay, sure.
Question number 2.
Mhm.
What are the 3 major task initiatives that the Flint School Board feel is important to move the school district? And it's a second part is what are the pros and cons of closing schools? So if you need me to repeat that, I can.
Yes, if you would, please.
What are the 3 major task initiatives that the Flint School Board feels is important to move the school district?
Mhm.
And then I want you to tell me what are the pros and cons of closing schools? So if I can ask you one at a time, I can come back.
Okay. Well, I think some of the major things that may be hampering the Flint Schools district is perhaps the budget and the fact that we have to really work to try and get that within means so that we can function a little bit more, be more fiscally responsible, if you will. I think a major problem would be perhaps the has to do with the student body itself, or perhaps classroom sizes. Things like we have with the COVID having been a very big barrier to a lot of things. We would need to find a way to help get the kids started up again and going forward and moving towards a brighter future in their educational lives. Here, particularly in the city of Flint, we have a high poverty rate, and seeing as how a lot of our monies, if you will, comes from tax dollars. Our tax base right now is quite low. We don't have a lot of times the sufficient monies to really do what it is that the school board needs to do. So we're challenged in that way as well. So, the second part of your question, I'm sorry, it was 3. It was 3 things. Mhm.
Conversation about closing schools. Sure can. I'm way over there. Okay. Sorry about that. So the school board has been having a conversation about closing schools, downsizing, and what do you see as the pros and cons in closing schools?
Well, I think it's going to, is my mic on? Okay, I think one of the major problems is probably going to be what schools should be closed. we have, because we have such a very, a smaller school population than we've had in the past, we are probably, one of the things we probably would need to do is to figure out what schools, if we're going to close schools, should be closed. And how are we going to reprogram our budget, or redo our budget in order to accommodate that. There's a lot of things that's going on that we have to consider, like maybe new technologies and things of that nature. Maybe I think I'm getting off my, ask your question again, because I think I went into a different direction on that. Uh-huh.
To school. And I can give an example. If you're parents, what would
Mm-hmm.
you say the pros and cons of closing schools for your kids already in the public school,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about closing schools? So what would be a pros and cons in that perspective?
And okay, well, there again, well, we have to really look at the student body count. How many students do we have? And what schools, like what schools should be closed? And if they're closed, how are we going to figure out the things like that would be necessary, like transportations or building new schools? Or is it better to build another school and close all the old ones? Because sometimes maybe the building would, I should say, bringing old schools up to standard would outweigh, the benefits would not outweigh, or it would be cheaper or more advantageous to rebuild a school. And maybe in closing schools, we would have to really, I think we have to really look at the student population and see what it is that we can do as far as making sure that they can, even if we close schools, we can have schools where they still would be able to get a quality education. We do have a lot of vacant schools, but I think that I really believe that the cost would probably having to bring those schools up to par would far exceed what would be beneficial to us. So, closing schools, you probably would have parents in every part of the city or district that would be, don't close my school. Why do you have to close schools here? Why can't we keep this school open? So you would have to probably contend with the populace and to convince them that perhaps the school that you're closing would be better, or because we are trying to go towards something that would be greater for them. That would probably be a problem too. And then there again, perhaps the finances of even closing a school and maybe reopening or changing schools. You'd have to look at the cost factor, outweigh that, the good versus the bad, I would think, of closing schools. Because, when you close schools, first thing most parents want to say, oh, why are you closing the school over here? And why should my kids have to go way over there? And you have to be able to convince that might present a problem. But I think if the parents understood what that final outcome could be, how it could benefit them, you could probably get away with that problem. That problem would probably go away, especially if you can ensure them that the kids would get a better education, better quality education, and that transportation and things of this nature would not be a problem. Okay, I'm hoping I've answered that the way that you wanted. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Oh, hi.
What do you think is the best pedagogical approach to a community school model for the Flint School District?
The best. Would you repeat your question?
What do you think is the best pedagogical approach to a community school model for the Flint School District?
Okay. I would think it would be one that would be able to give good quality education, with good quality teachers, one that would have good role models within the school system in particular, one that, and I'm kind of I would like to see personally, since we have such a high population of the African American kids, that we have more African American teachers, and a good model would have, well, when I was coming up, of course, that was years ago, we had the nurses and things like that. We probably need to increase nurses and child psychologists and all of these, and have them actually within the school system. Of course, I know we have technology, but when I was teaching in one of the schools, we didn't have enough of it, so we reduced classroom size or student population, the sizes in each class, because a lot of times we have more students in the classroom than we have seating or computers for them. If we were to plan out something, I would think that would be something that would be important to include. May have to think about the budget. It may have to be looked at again to see if it's something we can do to, even if we had to trim the budget, that we can do something that would, that everyone could agree upon was a good idea to do, because you're enhancing something else in its stead. So, and then, of course, there would be the school board. The school board, I think if you have a good school board that communicates and can come up with unique ideas and things of that nature, that would help as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you see as problems with the following? The Board of Education, the administration, and the school district?
Problems? I don't know if it's so much a problem as opposed to I don't know if I view it as a problem, because a lot of things that appear problems just needs a little bit more effort to figure out what to do with it. If it's anything, it's probably going to be the budget, because we really, I guess, because that's something that seems to be a dark shadow hanging over the board, where they can't really do what it is that they would really like to do. And I think that problem, though, is a result of the, not only our tax base, but the monies that comes from the federal, from federal dollars. And that's due to the reduction of our student population. You have less students, you tend to have less dollars, and you have less dollars, you have less opportunity to really enhance the school system as well. With the board, I guess I really hadn't really looked at them as being a problem, as more as a group of people, of thinkers who are trying to make things better for the school system. Usually the problem arises from the outside, from people that don't really know what all it takes to be on a school board. I don't pretend to have the complete knowledge about what it is that you guys do personally in your conversations with all. I got my own feeling about what a school board should be doing. But even that, I don't consider to be a problem, because a lot of times it's more or less, it's issues that are brought upon the board that it just takes a lot of thought and endeavor to work out. It's sort of like being the president. You know what things work for you, it's being the president, but then you got a whole Congress who don't think the same way as he does. So, you can only do so much, but if you have a good school board who are able to interchange their ideas and work through them, I guess I don't really see that as a problem as much as I see that as a working body trying to solve matters as it relates to the schools, not so much the board.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. Glad you came. My question would be, what do you see as the roles and responsibilities of the school board members?
I think it's important that they do share a vision, one that they're working towards to bring our school and our children into the 21st century. I think it's important that they do manage budgets. I think they need to be a part, like you are here, a part of the community and have the respect of the community and in representing them. The school board should do that. I think the most important thing is they got to be sincere about their need and desire to make sure that every student in their community gets a good education and one that they can carry into the future. They have to make sure that the student board has to be concerned with the safety of not only the students, but they have to be concerned about the safety of their workforce, their teachers, the administrators, and things like that. I think that the school board has to be level-headed in their decision-making process. They need to be able to, like I say, interchange ideas and see where they can come up with the best thing for all students and board concerned.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Ms. Simpkins. We appreciate you sitting up here letting us ask you these questions. We appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I got to ask you. In conclusion of the interview, would you like to make one final statement before you are excused?
Oh, yes, sure. Thank you. I feel a great need and desire to want to be a member of the school board because I've always been on the outside looking in, so to speak. And I always thought it was more to what the board does than what the public actually see. And being one that's very interested in the education of our students and their well-being, I always want to play a part in that. That's why I have been very involved with youth groups and teaching and different things like that. But that's being on the outside of the board. I would like to switch that and now become on the inside of the board so I can see really how this thing works. You know what I'm saying? It's just something I always desired to do. And when I heard about this, I said, maybe this is the time. And maybe they wouldn't mind having a senior citizen on the board with them to help see if I can, bring something of value, okay, to the board. And that's my main purpose. I want to be able to do something that can really make the board shine. So people want, because I sometimes I get to be a little political in that I want to be able to tell people on the outside, it's not like you think. This is really how it is, so we have to work together. Yeah, so that's my motive.
You have a seat in the
Thank you.
audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't sit in the audience.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we're going to get our second candidate, and that will be Linda Bowles. Booz. I'm sorry, Booz, Linda Booz. Thank you, Pastor Gilbert. I keep forgetting about this man.
Good evening.
Good evening, Sister Booz.
Good evening, Ms. Booth.
Good evening.
Were you able to read the instructions for how the interview will be conducted?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any questions before we begin?
No questions.
I will be asking you the first two questions, okay?
Okay.
Would you please describe anything in your background that would affect you from would affect you from disqualifying to serve on the Flint Board of Education or interacting with students?
Nothing.
No?
No record. No felonies.
Okay. All
You have
right.
to excuse my voice.
No, that's okay. Okay. In the challenging times we're facing this year, why have you decided to be part of the decision-making process?
Because I care about the city of Flint. I care about the students, the parents, and I would like to help make an impact on change for the future.
All righty. Dr. McNeil.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Okay. I want you to tell me about what are the three major test initiatives that the Flint School Board feel is important to move the school district?
Can you repeat that question?
What are the three major task initiatives that the Flint School Board feel is important to move the school district, in order to move the school district forward?
Okay, I know there's an issue with utilization of buildings, the capacity of the current buildings, but that may not be one of the key issues. I think the key issue right now is to maintain students, what's the term? Retention. Maintain student retention, keep an accurate curriculum so that the kids can excel, and to help them to be future participants in the city of Flint.
These questions. There's many conversation about closing the schools. Could you give me some pros and cons on ours?
Dr. Joyce, would you speak up just a
I'm
little?
doing the best I can. I'm sorry. Maybe you can turn up the mic.
Thank you.
Oh, you forgot what I was telling.
Other part.
Oh, what are the pros and cons of closing schools?
The pros of closing schools is to maintain a good budget and to close schools that are not being utilized at this current time. You know, there's a cost factor in keeping schools, especially the ones that are vacant, I'm sure there's still a cost to maintaining a vacant building. And that's the pro, to eliminate buildings that are not currently being utilized. And the con would be to maintain and keep the buildings that are being currently utilized. Thank you.
What do you think, or good afternoon, first of
Good
all.
afternoon.
Thank you so much. What do you think is the best pedagogical approach to a community school model for the Flint School District?
A logical approach.
Pedagogical approach.
Okay. To ensure that every student is getting quality education, making sure that they have the tools to utilize so that they can maintain a good quality education, and make sure that everything is fair. All schools have the equal access to a good quality education.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you see as problems with the following? The Board of Education, the administration, and the school district?
Administration. I can't answer for any problems in terms of the board, because I don't know. I haven't attended any meetings and haven't followed the board at that capacity. The administration, I understand that we have had several superintendents over the last several years. I can't pinpoint the exact number of years, but the change of leadership, that can be a problem, because each leader have a different vision as to how they want how they want the schools to go. And then the relationship with the school boards and the superintendent, it changes, And in terms of the schools, I know we have 11 schools that are open, 9 high schools and, 9 elementary schools and 2 high schools. I'm not sure. Right now, I can't answer that question, but we want to make sure that the schools we have some schools that are underperforming. We have some schools that are not full capacity in terms of attendance. One thing that the schools can do is probably try to get the attendance up at these schools who are low performing, and the attendance is low. And that's all I can say about that particular question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Sister Booz. How are
Good
you?
evening. I am fine.
Good to see you today. I want my fellow board members to know and the public to know that Sister Booz and I serve on the Ethics and Accountability Board together for the city of Flint. So make sure that you make a note of that.
Thank you for that.
The question that I have is, what do you see as the role and responsibility of board members, the school board members? What are the roles? What are the responsibilities?
Okay, to oversee the budget, to make sure the operation of the schools, can you hear me?
Yeah, just a minute.
To oversee and review the budget, to make sure the schools are operating, at the full capacity, make sure we have quality teachers, and I know that you also have a big role in selecting superintendents, and you have other responsibilities as given down from the Michigan Association of School Board, the umbrella. But And, also approve curriculums. It's important to make sure that the students have the a good, strong curriculum, to get them through so that they can have a good quality education for the future. I'm a little nervous.
Mr. Booz, thank you.
It's okay.
You're fine.
This concludes your interview. Would you like to make one final statement before you are excused?
Yes, I really do feel that the Flint Board of Education, based upon the budget that they have had to work with, is doing a fine job retaining, keeping our schools open. And I know you have a big task to do in terms of future, all the way up to, trying to eliminate some of the, close some of the schools that are currently open. Not only you have that to do, you also have the buildings that are vacant to deal with and the land. So I think you're doing a fantastic job, and you seem to be working together. I haven't heard anything negative myself, and I just would like to be a part of the process. There's still a lot I don't know. I did a lot of research, and a lot of the questions you didn't ask.
Of course.
I have a lot of notes, but I like the website. The website is very informative. It didn't list the staff, the school boards. I couldn't get a count of how many staff members you have a total in the district for the 9 elementary schools and the 2 high schools. If I'm not mistaken, there are 2 high schools that are open. And, but that's it. There was just some information on the website that was missing. And, I didn't really care about salaries or anything like that. I used to teach at Whittier and guest teacher at Whittier under the direction of Cookie Crutchfield. And at that time, there was a superintendent named Felix Chow. And he used to do surveys and different things, get a feel of what the parents want and the students want. But what I want to say is that the website, it didn't give me information on the student, the teacher-student ratio. So that's a concern of mine too, not having the classrooms. I know you closed school, but not having the classroom so large, especially like in a middle school, 30 students is quite a bit, because you don't just teach, you do other things within a classroom. But other than that, that's all. Thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Booz.
I'm ready to run.
Please kindly take a seat in the audience, okay?
Okay,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. I sit in, you say?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
I sit out here?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be bringing our third candidate up, and his name is Ezekiel Harris. Good evening, Mr. Harris.
Good evening.
Were you able to read the instructions for how the interview will be conducted?
Yes.
Do you have any questions before we begin?
No, I don't.
Okay, I will be asking you your first 2 questions, okay? Would you please describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint School Board or interacting with students?
There's nothing in my background that would inhibit me from serving.
Okay. In these challenging times that we're facing this year, what made you decide to be part of the decision-making process?
Great question. So this is my second time back.
I knew you looked familiar, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same as last time. Me and my wife, we moved back about 2 years ago. We have a 3-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. And instead of just kind of talking about change or, that kind of stuff, why not kind of be a part of it? And I felt like this was the kind of best opportunity to do so. I wasn't expecting the opportunity to come around again so quickly, but still thankful that that's here.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. McNeil?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What are the three major task initiatives that the Flint School Board feels is important to move the school district forward?
It's hard being here to answer that question for you all. But I would say at the end of the day, it comes down to like student outcomes. So whatever leads to student outcomes. Right now, I think there's a big conversation around just the whole thing with Mott Foundation and kind of what that means kind of moving forward, kind of long term. So obviously that's something that's really important to be addressing and thinking about right now, as well as our schools and just what to do with the schools that are being utilized or being underutilized. And then, yeah, it just kind of goes back to educational outcomes and having the best educational outcomes for the kids.
My second question to that question would be, what are the pros and cons of closing schools?
What are the pros and cons? Oh man, I'll say one pro and one con. One major con is, how we built our communities is around schools. That's why it's like, a lot of times it's circled around the school. So then when you close a school, you kind of shut off the opportunity to maybe walk to school or have direct access for the students who live around in that neighborhood, and cause people to have to travel like even farther. Which, in Flint, transportation, a lot of times it's an issue, and being able to be a community school and not be able to drive right down the street, like, is an issue. The pros of closing schools, there's a lot of reasons why it can make sense financially, but also educationally. When you have the opportunity to focus more on a specific amount of schools, you're able to provide better services if you don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to do it across a number of schools, which is also the reason why I only have 2 kids. So.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hi, and welcome back. It's good to see you again. Thank you for coming again. What do you think is the best pedagogical approach to a community school model for the Flint School District?
I would say, given the opportunity to work with other organizations that, or partner with other nonprofits or other organizations around Flint or even outside of Flint, that would expose more of the scholars to excuse me, you're fine, just different opportunities. So teaching in a way, maybe taking them out of the classroom and getting some kind of real world experience, and just kind of like, I don't know, pedagogy in terms of like how you teach and doing it through community. I would say as often as you can, either bringing partners into the classroom or going out to them and trying to relay a lesson would probably be the best way of going about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you see as problems with the following? The Board of Education, the administration, and the school district?
Individually or collectively?
Individually, what do you see as problems?
This may not be the answer that you're seeking, but I'm going to give it anyway. We aren't attracting the students in the way that we should, or collectively attracting the students in the way that we should, or producing the outcomes across the board for the scholars as much as we should. That, to me, that's just a broader statement, but I think it's not one entity's kind of fault, but even me as a resident, it's all that includes me as a community member as well. Yeah, it's short. Sorry.
Is that it, or?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How you doing, Brother Ezekiel?
Good, good.
My question is, what do you see as the roles and responsibilities of school board members?
I see a school board member as having three essential roles. One is the financial management of the funds that come in and out of the district, whether state, federal, or kind of grant funds locally. So making sure things are managed effectively. I would say the other is around talent and making sure we're hiring the best quality teachers. We have the contracts in place that make it so we can hire the best staff members for the scholars. So financial talent. And then the last thing I would say is while not having a direct, hand in the educational, curriculum, if you will, us not being the teachers, but making sure that we're at least making as best decisions as we can around what they teach or the information that they're able to pull from when being in the classroom, because we're not in that classroom. We're levels above. But yeah, just making sure that they have the tools in place to effectively teach.
Thank you, Brother Ezekiel.
Thank you.
This concludes your interview. Would you like to make one final statement before you're excused?
Yeah, I would say I really, really was struggling if I was going to come back again. I went to U of M and played soccer in college, and so I'm like, I have this competitive part of me. So I was honestly disappointed when I didn't make the school board the first time around. But as I talked to family and friends who kind of knew me, knew my heart, it really came where it wasn't about me and what I wanted personally. It was about the opportunity to help kind of push things forward as best I could. And I feel like I have skills that can support that. So thank you for giving me another opportunity. I'm sad to see Adrian go, but happy to see Adrian go. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Kindly have a seat in the audience, please.
Okay, thank you.
Our final candidate, Mr. Raymond Hall.
Hello to all. I need to
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Hall.
nervous in a month. Thank you for the opportunity of a lifetime, but I've been trying for the past.
Mr. Hall, one
Oh,
second.
yes, ma'am. Okay.
Were you able to read the instructions on how the interview will be conducted?
Just very much.
You sure? Not just joking. Do you have any questions before we begin?
Do I have questions?
Before we begin, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to meet you all. I've been waiting for this all my life, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I even tried to do a webinar with you through Eagle to let you know about Michigan Green Schools. But hey, listen, my heart need to calm down. I'm gonna let y'all talk. All right.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the first two questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And just relax. So we won't hurt you. I
Woo!
promise.
You're in my spirit.
Would you please describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint School Board and interacting with
Not
students?
at all. I've been making sure my record was clean so I could be at this day. I think
Okay.
I dreamed of it. All right.
Okay. In these challenging times that we're facing this year, why have you decided to be part of the decision-making process?
Because I want to make us international. I do United Nations stuff. I'm global, you know what I'm saying? But I want us to be legendary. Like back in the day when all the people of the world or the community came to Flint to learn from us. And I think I'm the guy to help do it. But anyway, here we go right there.
That's good. Okay. Dr. McNeil?
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice meeting you.
You know I love you. Anyway, okay.
My question to you, what are the three major task initiatives that the Flint School Board feels is important to move the school district forward?
Well, the opportunity that you gave me right now to be here, it's got something to do with you all as a board because you bring cohesiveness and open-mindedness to what's happening here in the city of Flint for our children. After the Flint water crisis and everything that has happened to with this COVID-19, the gun violence and everything, you are doing a great job of trying your hardest to put your egos to the side and work for our children. And having Danielle Green, who creates her own books, ethics and community, oh my God, it's just, okay, again, let me calm down. Did I answer the question?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, you're
ma'am?
going to ask, I want you to answer the next question.
Okay.
What are the pros and cons of closing schools?
Well, I'm gonna go with all the pros because the cons is the con part is. It's called gentrification. It's called the abandonment of our communities. We are a majority African Americans, so most of the schools that get closed deals with us because like Powers and all them, they can go on with the money system and create new schools for themselves, but we lose out because of the cons of it all. But the cons can turn into great things for us in teaching our children about how to create their own community schools, how to partnership with each other, get rid of the violence, stop the things that can hold us back as a people. We can start with our youth. So we can turn all things to for the betterment of us all. That's the way I see our school system set up. So it's just a matter of the money and the community and putting our people together. The one con that keeps in my system that I guess I want to say more than anything is, it's called, I call it foot in the school. That means that the children put their foot in the school, we had the opportunity to put our foot in their home. We should have the opportunity to learn what's going on with their families, what's going on inside their homes, what's happening. And I think that would stop a lot of school closings and open up more schools and things to our community if we get more concerned about what's going on in the homes of our children, so that when they step into the school, we actually know what's going on. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, and I appreciate your energy and your style.
Ooh,
So
it must be popping out because I'm. Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
McIntyre?
Hey there, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. What do you think is the best pedagogical approach to a community school model for the Flint School District?
Well, my greatest thing right now is that, and then I'm working through Eagle as a water ambassador, and that like I told them, I put up one hand, then I stood up, and then I started coordinating, putting things together, and that is the Michigan Green Schools, and that is that we have here in the city of Flint. We've done everything. We put money into the lake. We put money into the Flint River. We put money in every millions and millions of dollars. But there's a lake there, and it's got an aquifer to it. And this Michigan Green Schools can get our children to learn from just like newborns, to learn how to walk in the system of creating and cleaning up our own lakes, learn about fishery, how to learn about how to clean our own pollution in our water. These things would, again, take our children away from violence, of things that we should. When you learn about the nature around you, when you learn about the habitat that's around you every day, your environment, when you can walk out of your environment, you can see what it means to see a flower grow, or what it means to be vegetables, or what it means to how water and this and that. That's the things that I see about what's going on. But there's other things that, you know, I brought my laptop out. I don't want to take too much of your time, but one of the things that I had here is called, was that me talking or something? I don't know. Oh, that's okay. Anyway, the best thing I can say that I'm just trying to explain is that doing United Nations stuff, teaching children about the health of our community and our environment. If we grow gardens in our own yards and do stuff like that, and they learn about it, it'll make things different. So that is okay. I was wondering. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Health of our community and our environment. If we grow gardens in our own yards and stuff like that, you learn about it. It'll make things different. Yeah, it must sound too good. Okay, then I got you. I'm listening now. God.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Demaroni?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you see as problems with the following? The Board of Education, the administration, and the school district?
Well, as of lately, I haven't seen anything too much wrong with what's going on. I see outside forces more than I see inside forces, like the Genesee County thing. They have a whole camp system based on water and everything and stuff like that. They have technology and stuff that we should be using that should be applying to our kids. So I guess it would be administration stuff more than anything that's going on that I see could happen. But I think that the way we started with the superintendent and everything else, I think you all are on a great start on everything that you're trying to do. So that's the way I see it. I don't know what's going on. I got some background.
Thank you.
Pastor Gilbert?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brother Raymond, how you doing, man? I really enjoy your excitement. It really
Me
is.
too. Yes, sir.
I hope it continues to be contagious.
Oh, if you continue to bring me to this mic, it goes, and if you allow me to bring action to my words in this community, in this school, you're gonna see. I've been waiting on, boom, like a jet rocket ready to explode on this. Yes, sir. Yes,
Well,
sir.
thank you so much. I have one question. What do you see as the roles and responsibilities of the school board members?
Basically, which y'all starting on. I mean, again, I have to say to be given the opportunity for you all to have come together and have given me the opportunity just to sit here and talk with you, like you said, bring this energy to the table. If you feel me where I'm coming from, that it's just so much opportunity for us to make so many things happen for our children and future generations. Those are not even born here yet. That that was like that board came together on that day and that time, and they brought such a nucleus of power and stuff together that the whole world is like, woo, Flint back on his feet again. But all right, that's it right there. Yes,
Thank you, Brother Raymond.
yes.
Mr. Hall, this concludes your interview. Would you like to make one final statement before you are excused?
Yeah, the name of the thing is, I think that I would like to say God, Goddess, superior ancient ancestors have given me this opportunity to sit before you all. And they just ask for the opportunity, the chance to just, as you all have probably in some kind of way met me or heard about me, that all I want is the best for the city of Flint, and especially the excellence that we can bring to our children. We can stop the violence in the homes. We can stop the violence that's coming to our schools. It's possible. And it's because, as a thing I would say, it's called national mass violence. And what it is that it's money set aside for us. We don't have to worry about no money ever again, as far as I'm concerned, on our end. But what happened to our children is part of a mass violence thing. And it's legit. It's real. That's why I brought my laptop, so I could, like, here you go, Google it or whatever. I don't know. But what it is that we have to understand that we've been victimized, and our children have been victimized. And now we cannot allow them to kick us up under the bus or act like we don't exist. We do exist, and there's communities, there's organizations, there's people all over the world. Like I said, I do things with the United Nations, international programs that's here for our children. That we don't have to accept the less for ourselves, but we should get the greatest breadbasket of the world coming to us, and that's all I want to bring to the table. I don't even want. That's all I want to bring to the table is that we can get anything that we want for our children. And if I got 2 girls and they go to Pierce Elementary, and all I want is the best for them. So if I want the best for my 2 girls, I want the best for your children too. And that's what I'm here for. It's no way that guy came up out of his seat and did I get a chance to sit here and express how I feel. So thank you. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Kindly have a seat in the audience, please.
Man, I can't believe
Thank
it.
you, Brother Raymond.
Yes, yes. You should take a seat.
Yes, please. Oh, thank you. Huh? The board will now be totaling up scores and hand their sheets to Ms. Elston. At this time, we'll take a short break while the scores are tallied. Please stay close as I will be announcing the names of the top 2 candidates for the second round of interviews shortly. Yeah, give it to Mom.
Just give that to Sister Mom.
I've been given the names of the top two candidates, and their names are Linda Booz and Estelle Simpkins. Congratulations to each of you, and a big thank you to everyone that applied and was willing to go through this process. I would like to have Ms. Booz stay in the auditorium while Ms. Elston escorts Ms. Simpkins back to the room where you were originally waiting until it is your time to be interviewed. We'll begin as soon as Ms. Elston returns. Yep. Yep. Oh, boy. Hey, Laura, did I say, who did you ask me was doing it first? I just wanted to know who to put. Yeah, who did you say? And did I? So, Ms. Booz is first, I think. I would like to have, Ms. Booz stay in the auditorium while Ms. Elston escorts Ms. Simpkins. Yeah, I blew that. Yeah. Sorry, y'all. I just thought about that. I said, I don't think I did that right. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I agree. All righty, guys. Here we go. Once again, the board wishes to thank all candidates for their participation. Let's give them a round of applause. At this time, I would like to announce the names of the candidates that had the highest. Oh, come on.
Yeah, no,
Oh, I was gonna say, this sound like.
no,
Sorry.
now you go.
Oh, so what? Oh, sorry.
That's after.
Okay. Oops. Sorry, guys. Pull this out the way. How you doing, Ms. Booz?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. See, you did, in spite of being nervous, you did fine. So I'll be asking you your first question, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team? And what is your vision for education in the community?
Okay, I feel that I can work at a high capacity because I have had experience over the years serving on different boards, City of Flint, and I currently serve on 2 other boards, which I hope is not a conflict, in the future. But I'm used to working on boards and with various individuals. I have no problems working with anybody. I respect each person's opinion. I don't attack anybody, and I have that type of experience. I'm a think tanker person. I like to call individuals in the community and discuss and talk about various situations that's going on throughout the city. And I do not hold grudges or anything like that because you don't think like I think. It's not a big thing for me. I just, keep it moving. And also, the second part of that question,
Vision for education in the community.
my vision is to have a strong system. At one time we had a strong national attention. And, right now we just want to have strong support of the parents, the staff, and the community partners to pull everything together and make our school part of our future community, a strong entity. Because when you have growing families, a lot of families can't afford to move out of the city. I just retired from the Department of Health and Human Services. So I understand the dynamics of what the families are going through, the challenges they have, with income, transportation, and housing, and it's nice for them to have a school, to help support them, raise their families, and also to support the parents, to help the parents. So I would like to see, a nice epic, for the lack of a better word, a very strong school system to help embrace the needs of the community.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Booth. Dr. McNeil?
Okay, thank you. Do you understand the term community benefit agreement, and how could that benefit the school district?
The community benefit?
Agreement. Want me to try it again?
Yes.
Make it closer. Do you understand the term community benefit agreement, and how could that benefit the school district?
Yes, I have heard of it. I heard of it at another meeting in the city. I think it may have been at City Council, where the partners agree to support and embrace the Flint school system and work with the Flint school system. I don't have all the details about it, but I do know that it's a partnership with the community.
All right. What would you do to ameliorate the school to prison pipeline in the Flint School District?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel that a lot of the students, they need and the parents need mentoring. We need a lot of programs in the Flint school system to help families in general as a whole. I've seen the term when I was reviewing the website, the school board website. It says something about holistic, and holistic means that you're making the student a whole. They social, you care about their social, their mental, their educational being of that student, everything that student need to move on. That school to prison pipeline is it need to be broken, because we have too many, even female, we have young, not just males, we have male and females going through that system early. They're early, they're going through the system early, as young as 11, 12 years old, going through that system. And a lot of the students, some of the students, I must say, they come from broken homes, foster care. Their mother, father may be deceased, grandparents are raising kids, and they don't have that family structure. And what we used to consider a family structure was a mother, father, and the children. Now that's no longer in existence, and the kids have everybody. A lot of the kids, children, and not just the city of Flint, everywhere have other family members or individuals raising them. And they focus on the care of the child. Some of them, focus mainly on the care of the child. but not the education and the social aspect of the children. So they get lost, you know, they get lost in the system that they're in, and they get lost in the community. And then therefore they end up branching out, trying to find a way to survive. And that's how that school, the pipeline, you know, they drop out of school early and they go commit crimes and other activities and end up in the juvenile system or prison, jail or prison. So it's very important for the schools to, they can't do everything. You know, it's a lot. School learning is more complex, and education and supporting the kids is more complex today than it's ever been. So you have to decide what programs and services you want to offer in the school to help these individuals, keep them from going from school, dropping out. Most of the dropouts are usually, most of the those that go through the prison system are high school dropouts. Most of my clients only had a 9th grade education. But, you know, when the pandemic came, they had to teach their kids at home. They had online school, but the parents struggled because they only had maybe a 9th grade education, you know. So, but the kids are struggling. The teenagers, they don't have after school programs. You know, it's hard people don't like to hear about old times. But when I was coming up, the schools were open even on a Sunday in some cases, you know. But I know because of dollars and staffing, it would be hard unless you had volunteers. But the kids they have nowhere to go. You know, it's going to be warm this week, starting this week, and it's going to be hard to keep their retention in class, you know, when it starts getting warm and everything. So I feel like you're doing a very good job, because I noticed some of the partners that you have include Crim Fit, and you have a lot of different other organizations that's trying to help to fill that gap. And it's important for kids to have more than just come to school for just education. You know, they have to have a purpose and a future. And a lot of them feel they don't have that. That's why they end up in this prison pipeline.
Thank you. Good evening again.
Good evening.
How many Board of Education meetings have you, number one, attended? Number two, when was the first? And number three, when was the last?
Oh my God. The first one was, I have to think about the first one, was back in 1998, 99, when we had the superintendent was Felix Chow. You know, he engaged the community, and there was a lot of staff members there, teachers. It'd be, you know, school board meetings. This would be really, really big. The last one I attended was when Mr. Watkins was the superintendent, and that was, oh my goodness, I have attended so many meetings. It was maybe before he left the administration. So I haven't been to any in the last few years, but I have watched on TV a few times. And, you know, I kind of understand the process and, the transition of some of the issues you have to deal with.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Gilbert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sister Booz, I just have this one question for you. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law. State and federal law. Okay. We'll read it for you again. We'll finish it the first time. Yes. staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue. Let us repeat it one more time. We'll go slow. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about.
Okay, are you speaking of this board or another board?
This board, whatever comes to mind of this recent board decisions
Let's see.
over time in the recent months.
Okay.
And describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs,
Okay.
state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Okay.
All minds are clear?
Yes. Now, that first part I can't answer because I don't know how I feel about any of the decisions you have made. Look like you're doing the best you can based upon the budget you have and the number of students you have in the buildings that are currently being occupied to educate those students. Balance of community concerns. Most of the community's concerns right now is, I believe, is making sure that the children's school remains open in their area, where the kids are currently attending. A lot of the kids are being bused right now, so we can't say neighborhood school, Student needs are very important because the students make up the school body. It's a big portion of the individuals. We have to make sure getting a good quality education so that they can be entrepreneurs or go on to college or just be a functional citizen in wherever they choose to move on to. Staff consideration, I think it's important to have a good staff and to make sure that you address their needs as well. Because when you have a good staff, you will get good results. Educated staff, trained staff, communicate with the staff, support them, provide them with some of the needs that they you probably can't provide them with everything, but it's very important to listen to the student staff. And I don't see any community, I guess, that would include parents. Parents are the ones who choose the school to send their children to. Except some of the high school students, they may choose to go. The high school students make a lot of choices and their decisions as to where they want to go. A lot of times, 11 and 12th graders, I know, 10th, 11th, 12th graders, their parents, they may have some parental influence, but, and personally, how I fit into the picture personally, I value the Flint school system. I'm a product of the Flint school system, and so are all three of my children. So, I have faith in the Flint school system. And I know that, there have to be a balance in terms of making decisions. You have to think of the best, when you come make a decision, you include all of this. And I see state and federal law. Yes, you always have to abide by the state and federal law in order to get funding and to, make sure you're not penalized or whatever. But all of this the balance is, you have to balance it. You just have to. And I think the most important group of this is the staff and the students and the parents. You know, you have to listen to them and you have to come up with the best solutions, but you also have to apply with state and federal laws and, you know, and explain to them, you know, if they don't understand your decision, be willing to explain it to them and get them involved in the decision process the best way you can. I don't know how much parent participation you have in the decision-making process. But questionnaires help, surveys help, you know, to get an idea of, you know, what their needs are.
Thank you, Sister Booth.
Thank you, Ms. Booth. This concludes our interview process. Please kindly take a seat in the audience.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome. And we will be having Ms. Simpkins. I would hate that hot seat. Welcome again, Ms. Simpkins.
Thank you.
Okay, we get right into it, okay?
All right.
Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team? What is your vision for education in this community?
Okay. Okay. I think it's very imperative that the school board be in contact with their local community, especially the parents, and become more of an integral part of, and allow them to be part of the decision-making process when it comes to their curriculums and the health and different things that are all involved and that are concerns of the school board. I think they should be interested, the school board should also have a desire to move the students into the 21st century with their education, things that they can use to go forward, get them a good education where they can go forward with, and bring in programs that will address their behavioral issues that some of the kids have things like neurological assessments available to them, and maybe free physicals to help with that, because a lot of our children, and not only the children, the community as well, have been, not only with the water pandemic that we had, but the COVID also played a major part in the children's education being flawed in that, and it's not so much the school board that may have caused that, but the school board needs to make whatever necessary adjustments that it might take in order to get them back up to par, whether it means bringing in more teachers or coming up with different type of curriculum plans, or bringing in health professionals and things of that nature. The school board have to feel like they are intelligent enough to know how to weigh out the good and the bad of the kids, the students. Why are the students the way that they are? And understand that it could sometimes be a long-term process to get them to where they need to be, but be dedicated enough to want to see that comes to a fulfillment. And I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. Dr. McNeil?
Thank you. Do you understand the term community benefit agreement, and how could that benefit the school board? Have you ever heard that term, community benefit agreement? And how would you think we could use that in the school board?
I have heard of community benefit agreement, and I think it could really benefit the school board, because my understanding of that is where the community would have some type of contract, if you will, or agreement, or something to that nature, where they can work hand in hand with, say, for instance, in the particular situation we have here in Flint. You want to have the community involved in the different things that the school boards are doing. Say, for instance, the need for new schools, the need for demolition of some schools, the need for the building of other schools. The community is affected in anything that you would do. So you would want to have not only agreement between what the community might like us to do, but an agreement with whomever we may or may not contract to do what you would like for them to do. So the decision has to almost be like threefold. You got to have the community, you got to have the board, and you have to have an agreement with local contractors, if you will. I say local contractors, we're always going for the local people. And also I'll be able to, it's almost like you building a vision from what all of those partners have brought to the fore. If, say for instance, if like the new building, new school that we have over here by the expressway, that had to be an agreement between the community in that area. Had to be an agreement made with the contractors, if you will. Had to be agreement with the school board. So all these things have to tie in together. And if when everybody has an agreement, they know, the community know what to expect. The school board knows what to expect, and the contractor knows what we're expecting. So I would think it's more like, that you have so everybody's on the same page about what we are expecting to do. Yeah.
McIntyre, I'm sorry.
On the max,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
What would you do to ameliorate the school to prison pipeline in the Flint School District?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. I just hate the terms, the pipeline thing, I just don't like that at all. It doesn't even have a good sound to it to me. To eliminate it, we would probably have to really, let me refer to my note, because I thought about this thing before. I think we could really use I think it's going to have to be something that's very inclusive to include psychologists for students that may be suffering from any type of mental ailments. You would have to have physicians because to make sure that it isn't something that's medically that's causing the children to act out. You have to have a police force that would understand that all children aren't bad, and if they're doing this, then we need to get to the bottom of what is causing this. We already know we're going to have a problem with the lead in the water. We need to have kids analyzed for things like that because that causes kids to act out. We need to have I don't want to say penal system. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for. We would have to have like judgeship that could, or judges, special judges, if you will, that could see through the exterior of that child to the innermost of the children to really get at what it is that's causing them to even get into the situation they're in. With the building of the new, or redevelopment, I should say, of the project that's over there on Pasadena, a lot of the community were upset because they say, wow, we're putting all this money into that. We should have been putting more money into the schools and into teachers and into counselors and things like that. So we would need to have the community to, it's almost like you got to have one of those come to Jesus type things where everybody sit down and let's talk about what is really wrong with the kids and with the law enforcement and with the laws of the states and different things like that makes it so easy in a lot of cases for these kids get caught up in that system like that and end up going. If it's something that from the youth they weren't able to understand what they're being taught in school, do we have special teachers that can help them? It's better to help them when they're younger Then when they've already gotten into middle school or high school and they're still trying to deal with issues, then we need family counselors, because a lot of times when kids have gotten into that pipeline, you could just about draw a line right back to what's going on in their household. Because we have a lot of school to prison pipeline parents that have kids, and the parents are acting out too. So it could be a number of things that's causing that. I would say we would need to have an array of different services to work with that, to see if that's something if that pipeline can be cleared out, because it's full. It's full.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Deverani?
Thank you. Good evening again.
Good evening.
How many Board of Education meetings have you, number one, attended? Number two, when was the first? And number three, when was the last?
I've only attended 2, but they were wide apart. The last one was just recent. I think it was like 2 weeks ago when you guys had one. And I found out that I had the time to go see that, and I had an interest in one day maybe get on the board, and I thought this would be a good time to just come in and just listen to the board. I never, the last time I did it was about maybe 15 years ago.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Pastor Gilbert?
Thank you, Madam Chair. How you doing, Sister Simpson?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Nice to see
I'm
you.
nervous, but I'm dealing with it.
Oh, you're fine. I have one question for you.
Mhm.
So it's sort of in parts. So you just take your time.
Okay.
Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about,
Okay.
and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs,
Mhm. Okay.
state and federal law,
Okay.
staff considerations,
Mhm.
and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. A recent board decision. The community's concern, student need, state and federal laws, and staff consideration, and the school's personal values. Okay. A recent board decision, a recent one. I don't know how recent it was. I know it's the one that I was most interested in, and that was the rebuilding of the building of this new school over in the cultural district. And that's not very recent, I understand, but that was the one I thought about most, because initially I felt like many of our kids, the inner city kids, was not going to have an opportunity to really attend it because of where it was located, number one. And number two, I understood it had to be only a certain number of kids could go there. And they had to have a certain scholastic IQ to do that. And I was a little concerned about that. I didn't go to the school board about that. I just had sit and watched it develop. The community concerns that was in my neighborhood was just as I said, because they felt like they were going to be some of the children, or most of the children, were going to be discriminated against. And that was what the community gossip was. And so the communication on that may not have been as clear to the public as it probably could have been. It just looked like that area to include the Mott Foundation and everything involved. We felt like that school was for the other kids and not for the inner city kids or the kids that may have had, troubled kids or anything like that. So that caused me to kind of like be a little be concerned about that. The student needs are great, but I think they mostly are because they're failing in their academics. And a lot of times when students find themselves getting behind, that's when they tend to start acting out and don't want to do and what have you. And I think the classroom ratio, student to classroom ratio, doesn't help that at all. That's something I guess we just really need to fix, but I think it's something that probably won't be fixed until we reimagine everything, if you will, and try to get those, I know the class that I had been teaching, it had like 33 students, but we only had 24 desks. So that was something I was always concerned about, the student-teacher ratio, and I think that's a lot of reasons why the kids, that situation has to be resolved. And if we get some more schools or another school or a larger school or something like that, I'm sure that can be taken care of with the, because we also would add more teachers and more counselors and everything like that. The state and federal laws sometimes can be kind of sticky because it always depends on who's been elected. And they don't always agree with the schools, the cities themselves. It gets a little, I think it gets a little political, and it all depends on who gets the best votes, how things usually go, especially as it relates to the financing, or I should say the budgets, the taxes, and things like that. And the community as a whole always see, they always tend to see the bad part of that. The state and federal laws, like I said, depends. It goes by who have been put in those positions to make those decisions. And right now, it just seems like we don't have the candidates or people in positions that are in favor of the inner city schools. It seems to be that it always goes to the parochial schools, or things better go to the charter schools or private schools and things like that. And the inner city kids seem to get the tail end of the stick. So staff consideration. And when you say staff, are we referring to the teachers? Are we referring to the school board staff or something like that? Mm-hmm.
The administration.
Administration.
Yeah,
okay.
basic teachers mainly,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
the rest of them.
I haven't been in the position that some of them may be. I think they're doing the best that they can with what they have, which always, they could use more help, more assistance, more of everything. The staff, because of the situation that we're in, they get frustrated. I mean, they're human, and that's to be expected. But we have to be able to communicate with the staff, be open to suggestions, to be to want to change their situation, because a lot of the staff feel like they just their hands are tied. Staff, it's in administration, they have a lot of suggestions that could be, if we could allow them to make suggestions, that could really probably enhance our situation. But unfortunately, there again, sometimes the state laws and federal laws doesn't allow for them to have that leverage. So it can be iffy. But I think that I think it can be done. We just got to get the right people in the right places agreeing to the same things. There's the educational board down in Lansing. They were wanting to keep the mask. Everybody wearing masks, but we have such a great number of other people that didn't want that. We benefited here in Flint because we insisted upon staying with the mask mandates and things like that because we gave our children, I think the school board itself gave our children the best that they had in keeping with the different mandates that came out because we didn't have the big breakouts in COVID like other areas did. And that was due to the fact that I think the school board remained strong in their decision that our kids should keep the mask on. And I can only recall one time, maybe two, where they may have had to go to the schoolwork from their computers and things, but it wasn't to the great extent that a lot of areas had. They were closing whole schools for long periods of time in a lot of ways. But in Flint, I didn't think Flint got caught up that way. So I would believe that.
Thank you, Sister Simpkins.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. This concludes our interview process.
Okay.
Please kindly take a seat in the audience.
Okay.
Okay. Board members, once you tally up your final scores, can you hand them to Ms. Elston, please? Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, you want the guys want a break? You break? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take about a 5-minute break. Is that fine?
Oh, we can go. We can get it over. Okay, we can get over. We can stay.
Oh, yeah. Once you finish that, it shouldn't take longer than 5 minutes.
I'm ready to go too.
I get it. I've been at the hospital so long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Ready?
yes, sir.
You're all set. You need this. I need that. Do you have your board packet for tonight so that you can review the last page?
No.
Oh, you didn't bring it with you. You're fired.
Oh,
Just kidding.
I was thinking we were gonna get it here. I got that yesterday.
Did you get it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But for some reason I was picking it up today.
yeah.
Thank you. That's board vacancy.
Tomorrow's meeting started.
Couple minutes. We got about 3 minutes left. come on. Oh, I got to go back out there if they got enough money. It was only $3, and I thought it was cute. I had to tell you, I think that was it. Oh, I'm ready to go back to bed. Once again, the board wishes to thank all candidates for their participation. Let's give everyone a round of applause. At this time, I would like to announce the name of the candidate that had the highest overall total. She is Linda Booz. Give her. Board members, at this time, I seek a motion and a second to adopt the appointment of Linda Booz to the Flint Board of Education to fill the remainder of the vacancy until December 31st, 2022. It has been can I get a second? Yeah. Can I get some support?
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
You got to talk in the mic. We can't do a private conversation here. Got to talk in the mic because I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I thought I wasn't saying anything.
Sister Laura, I
Oh,
couldn't hear
I
you.
just was asking about clarification of the date, like
What?
it's the clarification of the date.
Oh, okay.
The vacancy should be,
December 31st.
December 31st, 2022. Okay. Can I get some support? It is in proper, can I get a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? No? Okay. Seeing no discussion, the motion to appoint Linda Booz to the Flint Board of Education until December 31st, 2022 will be, I will conduct the roll call vote. As I call your name, say yes or no to approve the motion. Vice President McNeil.
Yes.
Treasurer McIntyre.
Yes.
Assistant Treasurer Del Maroney.
Yes.
Pastor Gilbert.
Yes.
Carol McIntosh, who is not here, and myself, Danielle Green, President, yes. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Booz. Before,
Thanks.
Mm.
Thanks, Del.
Hmm?
Yes, thank you, Estelle.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And Ms. Simpkins, thank you. We appreciate you. We want you to know that, and the scores fell how they did, but we appreciate you coming in front of us and giving it a shot. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Dr. McMillan. Before we adjourn, do any board members have any comments?
Yes.
Do any board members have any comments? Nope. Board members.
I do.
Mr. Del Maroney?
When will be the swearing in of our new member?
May I answer?
Oh, yes, please.
Yes. The swearing in will be tomorrow at 6:00.
Well, that was coming up next, but okay.
Oh,
Is there any other board members? Ms. McIntyre?
Yeah, and I'd like to reiterate the importance of following up with the EDEP. We have the scenarios and also with the ESSER funding. So we've had several really good Finance Committee meeting of the whole sessions. And we're not in the home stretch by any stretch of the imagination, but if we could just please get, roll up our sleeves and do some due diligence. Not that we're not, but I'm just, we've done so much good work up till now. Like, let's keep the ball rolling. So just to kind of remind you, and thank you. Appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. Any other board members? Any comments? I just want to add, guys, please check your email. It's something in there about a workshop for us to do for the selling of buildings, and I'm the only one who's responded, I think. And I know that's important to all of us. I think I recall that being important to all of us. So if you could check your emails, just respond to the poll that Mo sent out earlier today. Was it this morning? So she just sent it out. Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure everybody see, because I miss them just like everybody else, right? Okay. The Board of Education will meet tomorrow, March 16th, 2022, for a Board Committee of the Whole meeting starting at 6:30 here at Accelerated Learning Academy. This meeting will occur prior to regular board meeting, which will immediately follow. Seeing no further business, I declare the board meeting adjourned.